Okay, everyone. I think it's time to get started with the Valo Fest APAC track. So, good day, everyone. I'm Jarmo Kuusinen, Valo's business lead in APAC, and greetings from Valo, Australia. I just wanted to drop by here in the beginning to welcome you all. So, on behalf of myself and the whole Valo team, welcome to the APAC part of this global Valo Fest event. Valo Fest is a 24-hour online event about digital workplaces. So it is an event for anyone wanting to increase their knowledge of digital workplaces, to hear real life case stories or learn from experiences of others. And what was Valo again? Well, Valo is a digital workplace solution built on top of Microsoft 365 platform. So about Valo, you can learn more at valointranet.com or just contacting us. So about the event, today we will have amazing lineup of speakers on two tracks. There's the experiences track and the solutions track. The experiences track, it's more about applying technologies to get the desired outcomes. It's about soft skills, customer success stories, and the like. Then again, the solutions track, it's more technology and solution oriented. So I hope to see you on those two tracks. And as opposed to this keynote session that we are about to start, which is a Teams live event, these experiences and solutions tracks are separate Teams meetings. So don't hesitate to get in touch with us if you need support in navigating there. However, before jumping into those tracks, we will have a super interesting keynote from Laurie Pottmeyer, who is community lead for Microsoft Teams at Microsoft. So in her session, Laurie will tell how to take advantage of all the possibilities of Microsoft Teams and the virtual environment in the office or at home. So Laurie, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Great. So, hey, it's time to get this day started. Dear Valo friends, Laurie Pottmeyer.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Oh, look at that beach ball. Oh, I need one of those. I have the shirt. I feel like now I need the beach ball. Welcome, everybody. We're so glad to have you here, and I'm excited to be a part of Valo's event. This is my first time presenting with Valo and being part of Valo Fest. So welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for having me. Today, I'm going to talk about Microsoft Teams. I am the community manager for Microsoft Teams. I'm a senior PM with the Microsoft Teams engineering team. I have the privilege of being the community lead, which is really cool because Microsoft Teams finds such value in community. And I'm really lucky to be part of an engineering team that values all of you. All of our customers, all of our partners, MVPs, all of the community that's passionate about Microsoft Teams or just looking at Microsoft Teams. My job is really to connect all of you with our engineering team. So my team is called QCO, and that stands for Quality and Customer Obsession. And I think that really tells the story that Teams is really focused on quality of the product and making sure that what we're shipping works and it works well, and that we listen to our customers. That's really very important to us. So happy to be here, and I'm going to just share a few of the new things that we have, tell a little bit about what we've been doing behind the scenes during this crazy time, and then share a couple things that I love about Teams, and then leave you with some wonderful resources. So enjoy your day. I know you have about 6 hours left of great content, so have a great time, and we'll get going. So our vision for Microsoft 365 is really to create a set of cloud services that help you connect and help you succeed in navigating the digital transformation. And many of us were just thrown into that recently, right? Microsoft Teams is the M365 experience that best represents that personal productivity experience that we deliver. And Teams is how your people experience your organization. Teams is a tool, but your people are who use the tool, and your people are what's really important and who you need to bring together to get the job done. Before we get too far into what is Teams and all the great stuff we're doing, I just did want to take a minute to acknowledge the difficult time that so many of us are going through around the globe. We're not only dealing with a global pandemic right now, which is pretty big in and of itself, but we're also dealing with big, ugly politics and discrimination and racial injustice, and it's pretty horrible in a lot of places around the world right now. So, you know, I understand many people are out of work, and those of us who are working are perhaps working around the clock. So it isn't easy for a lot of people, and I know that. You know, a couple weeks ago, when I was trying to justify my own work-life balance, and yeah, see there, I call it work balance because that's kind of how I feel, and probably many of you do too right now, but trying to manage work and life. And I was trying to justify that, and I made a comment to a friend of mine and said, you know, it's not like I'm saving lives here. I should just take a day off. And his comment back to me was interesting. He said, actually, Laurie, you kind of are. And when I stopped to think about it, he was right. You know, really, our team created this tool that enables people to work from everywhere. It doesn't matter if they're home, if they're on the road when they can be on the road, if they're, you know, going to the office. We really can do our work from everywhere, and Teams enables you to do that. You know, we've really been on the front lines, so to speak, in many ways, and that means all of us contributing to the product development here on the Teams team. But those of you who are deploying the technology, those of you who are just using the technology for the first time or sharing it with others by doing trainings, we all have a part in making sure the world keeps running behind the scenes. We're building technology. We're deploying technology. I mean, think about that. There's nurses and doctors and people on the front lines who are, you know, saving lives and keeping people healthy. And there's police and fire and EMTs or medics that are keeping our streets and cities safe. And there's teachers that are taking care of our children and teaching them about life, about everything they need to know when they grow up. There's caregivers caring for our elderly family. And those are heroes that we haven't given enough recognition to. But you know what, those of you who are using Teams for the first time, or you know, maybe you've been told that you're supposed to roll Teams out to your organization. You had 12 or 14 or 12 or 24 months to do that, and all of a sudden you had weeks or days. Some of you who are working on behalf of your customers to help them get Teams deployed or other M365 tools deployed, or those of you who are just using Teams for the very first time and dealing with change. Guess what? We're all heroes. You all behind the scenes are making it happen and enabling everybody to do their best work. So thank you. Thank you for being on the front line behind the scenes. Your work is important, and I'm just very happy as community lead that I get to be a part of that on behalf of Microsoft Teams. So we're all doing great things, and just a quick thank you before I go too far in. So let's start with, what is Microsoft Teams? Microsoft Teams is the hub for teamwork in Microsoft 365, right? It brings together everything a team needs. Everything from chat and threaded conversations, meetings and video conferencing, and then PSTN calling, and having the ability to call each other on the telephone, not just have a you know, one-on-one chat, but be able to have meetings ad hoc, planned. It's a collaboration tool, and it has the ability to integrate apps and workflows that your business relies on, your line of business apps. And because Microsoft is part of Microsoft 365, it comes with the enterprise-grade security and compliance and manageability, all those IT controls that are so important for us and our customers expect. And Microsoft Teams has been busy. The last few months has been an amazing period of growth. It's been so exciting, and we never could have expected. You know, unfortunately, we're in a situation where we had no choice and we had to be reactive. But the good thing is that Microsoft Teams has been able to be reactive. We have responded and been able to assist quickly during this pandemic. We've had to increase documentation. We've had to scale to meet the needs of demand, and the number of new people coming to Teams has been so great. So we've had questions that we haven't had in a long time, or feature requests that all of a sudden were important because people no longer were going into the office every day, and everybody being at home and trying to do home and work and life. That changed. It changed what people wanted. And so we had to change our course of action as well. We've scaled to meet the needs of our users. We've reprioritized the necessary features to make people happy and be able to do their work. And we've given people access who didn't have it before, and been able to maintain security the whole way. So we're really excited about the growth that we've seen. It continues to go up, and we're looking forward to being able to continue to deliver on the things that are important to all of you. So you probably want to know what we've been up to. Okay, spill it. Microsoft Teams really values you. Like I said, we had to reprioritize our features that we had planned. We wanted to make sure that we were delivering what people wanted, what they needed. Microsoft Teams uses user voice. So that's our tool that we use to collect all of the information from you related to the asks that you have. So when you say, I wish we had X, that should go in user voice. And I'll give you the link at the end, but it is aka.ms/Teams feedback. So when you go there, you can put in your feedback, and that tells us what you're looking for. And usually, there's already, we have so many people in there, thousands and thousands of people. Oftentimes your item is already in there, and you can just vote and add your items or your background, your context for your ask. And sometimes it's a new ask. It's something that somebody hasn't asked for. Regardless, we use user voice, and we use it a lot. We look at that for reference, but we also have machine learning that helps us understand when there are things that spike or things that all of a sudden have a lot of votes that we haven't noticed before. And that happened. We saw a lot of that during when COVID-19 began and people really started to work in this virtual environment. So some things went on the back burner, other things we kicked up a notch. I think that you probably noticed what some of those things were that we kicked up. The first thing being video display. Video display was always an ask that people, was out there, right? It was something that people had already voted on. It was there. It was on our backlog. But when the pandemic hit, we said, okay, we hear you. We need to increase video display. So, we've moved to what we had originally. We had 4 people on a screen when you were doing a meeting, and that wasn't enough. And so we moved to 3x3, which here's our part of our marketing team using 3x3. So we've now have 9 people displaying on the video, and the active speakers are displaying. But that still isn't enough, and we knew that, but we needed to get that out the door. So we've been planning for and just announced our 7x7. So we will have 49 people on the video screen, and that's super exciting. We're very excited for that. We probably won't stop there. We're doing some really exciting things, and not necessarily with numbers, but stay tuned because we're doing a lot of work and we're really innovating in this space. So thank you for those of you who are vocal about that. We heard you. We jumped on it. We didn't want to deliver it too soon because we wanted quality to be right. So now it's out the door. The next thing is increasing meeting size to 300. We heard, again, demand is there. So many of these events, like you're attending today, require the ability to have more people. And so we have increased the meeting size to 300. Originally, that was going to be a temporary thing, but we have made the commitment to increase meeting size to 300 ongoing. So you'll continue to see that. And that is documented as well. I should share that I will be sharing my slides with all of you. And so you'll have the ability to have all the links that I'm referencing as well. So don't feel like you have to jot anything down or look for anything as I talk through all of this. The next thing is pop-out chat. We heard you. Multitasking is important, right? A lot of us probably shouldn't multitask as much as we do. but we do. So pop-out chat is great. On the top left there, you'll see when you look at your Teams client and you're in your chat window, you can double click on it or use the highlighted areas there, whether you're in your chat or just in the chat window there on the right. You can pop out your chat, and that will enable you then to be able to have conversations and converse with people on the side as you're doing something else. It comes in really handy when you're on a meeting or trying to multitask during a meeting, or if you want to talk to multiple people at a time, typing back and forth but not having to click on the chat. Those little things, those little second clicks that take time for us throughout the day get a little bit irritating. So pop-out chat, kind of the first step in some of those asks that you've had to really make things a little bit easier as you make it through your day. So those are kind of some of the big things that we've talked about most recently, but we're not stopping there, right? So 7x7 videos, something that I already said, and along with the 7x7 video, we announced breakout rooms. So breakout rooms are interesting. They can be used in a lot of different scenarios, and we see most often people in an education setting, training, where even an event like today, where you may have a keynote and everybody may join one meeting and then afterwards have multiple options. And so right now, the way to do that is by doing this workaround, right? Where you have to pull up your calendar, you have to schedule multiple meetings at one time. It's not really a flow where everybody goes from one meeting into the next of their choice. So Vescu, one of our MVPs, wrote a nice article, and the link is there on the slide, of how to do breakout rooms today. It's kind of a workaround, and I welcome you to try that out. However, we are making that official, and this fall, I say fall meaning where I live in Pacific time, so probably around September, October timeframe. There's not a date yet. It's just fall timeframe. So we are working really hard on it. It is in development. We have not started testing yet, but we will hopefully do that very soon and be able to get that out to you. Again, our focus is on quality, so I want to make sure that everything works, and it will go through the rings, which is how Microsoft Teams builds our product. We have various rings that we go through, starting at ring 0 and all the way through ring 4, and there are rings in between those full numbers. So we make it through the rings, we make sure it works for all of you, and then we get it out the door. The next thing that we've announced recently at Build actually are customizable team templates. And team templates are really great for people who have multiple locations. For instance, if you think of a bank would be a good, like if you have multiple branches. Let's see, my little animation isn't working. Let's see if I can get it going. I don't know if it's going to work. But when you have multiple branches, for instance, and you want them to have options for creating their teams, but you want to be able to have them kind of predefined or customized. You could have one for marketing, you could have one for sales, you could have one for accounting, for instance, and those could be the same that each branch of the bank would use. And there's lots of different scenarios to be able to do that, but users will be able to customize the team names, descriptions, the channel names when they create a team from the template. So once they choose the template that they want to use, then they will be able to go in and tweak it and customize it how they want to. And then admins can define what those structures are. So your admin can go in and predefine either some from our templates that we've created, or additionally, if they want to make changes to those or create their own and include line of business apps, they can absolutely do that. So Teams templates, really exciting. It's been a big ask for a long time, and I'm sorry my animation didn't work on that slide because it kind of showed through the process, but we'll move on. Improve channel experience. So this one is one that's a little bit near and dear to my heart. One of the things that we've always heard complaints about is the general channel. The general channel I actually got a tweet on it today. We don't use the general channel for anything. It's just wasted space. All we see in there is, names of who's been added and deleted, and it's not a useful space for us. And we hear you. We get it. We have the same thing at Microsoft. Okay, we experience the same thing. In this case, I know Microsoft is an anomaly, and we use things different a lot of the time. And sometimes, I have a hard job in making sure that our developers and our engineering team understands that there are many different ways that people use our technology. But in this case, we feel the same pain, and we see it and we get it. And it's been in our backlog to improve the channel experience and make the especially general channel a more useful space, but then provide some reporting and some visibility into what's happening in each of the channels. And so that's something that's on our backlog that we're working on. However, due to the pandemic, there is a certain level of sensitivity that has come up related to the channel experience, and people falling ill or needing to take care of a loved one and needing to leave, or God forbid, layoffs happen, and people aren't able to, they have to lay off some of their team, and they don't have people there anymore. And so you see 10 people's names as being removed. That's just a yucky situation. And so one of the things that came up was this sensitivity and the fact that these things were happening. And so we decided that we needed to make that change really fast. So that's the first thing that we're doing, is getting rid of those added and removed messages, still making it visible so there's, that it is discoverable, however, not making it right there on the general channel for everybody to flag. So that's the first thing that we're doing. And an example of that, for instance, is in the team that I have, and you can see all of those added to the team and removed from the team. Those are the things that we want to get rid of. We don't want that general channel to be all cluttered up. And even once we get past the sensitivity, all of that, we definitely don't want that, clutter there. And so we hear you. That's going to go away. The other thing with the channel experience that I want to make a note of is in this example. Jordan sent a message and tagged me and said, "Community rocks, test environment." She created this test environment in our community tenant. And I was saying, great, this is awesome. How many of you have ever replied but started a new conversation instead of hit the actual reply? And then you can't go and delete your message, right? So then you're that person that created the message who's now sitting there knowing that it shouldn't be there, but you can't do anything about it. Hey, it happens to all of us. So we are definitely improving that experience. We did some work in the past. Some of you may have known that we did change the reply message or the reply icon to make that more discoverable. And here's the example of it. Where I replied to Jordan, but it came up as a new chat or new message instead of a reply to her actual message. So we are changing that, and we are going to, we've done an experiment, done some work there, and that will definitely be improved here very soon. All right, the next thing is consumer integration. So some exciting news. You probably heard of Teams and what we're doing for Teams for Life, and integrating what is happening in your personal life. If you're like me, you've got, a family and people and friends and maybe organizations that you're a part of, a book club, a cooking club, various sports organizations. It could be any one of different things. And you have different apps that you message people for different things, right? Some of us have Teams for our business, and we may even be using that mobile client, but then we might use another app for messaging our friends or text messaging, or if we have a group, a volunteer group, we may use another app for that, and we're just constantly going different places for different things. And Teams thought it was very, we thought that it was very important to be able to bring all of that together. And so you'll see Teams for Home, and there's been an announcement lately that the preview has just kicked off. So that has started for mobile. If you're interested in being a part of the the pilot here, the preview, I definitely recommend doing that. It is very cool. We're doing some really cool things in that space. What I'm most excited about here is I kind of put my 3 things that I'm excited about. Let me see if this animation works. The first thing is being able to utilize on mobile, right? It's very, very easy to switch tenants. So the way it works is you just log into Teams like you always log into Teams, except for now you'll just choose this tenant. And so it's like choosing another tenant if you have multiple organizations on mobile. So you can just switch back and forth, keep your work and your life, but have it all in one app, one place. And then the thing that I'm really excited about is being able to use safe. So there's a safe option in there. And, you know, for me, I'm super excited to be able to put the Wi-Fi in there so my kids will stop asking me for the Wi-Fi password, even though it's a really easy thing for them to remember. Somehow it always gets lost. So we can put things like our passport, our passwords for our different bank accounts and, you know, secure accounts that we have in there. All of our membership numbers, our, you know, when we travel, we can just have everything in there so it's with us, it's in our pocket. But again, it's within Teams, so it's within an app that you already use. You don't have to go to another third party to have that. So that's one aspect, just one of the little features that I'm excited about. And the other thing is location sharing. You know, I don't know how many times you've been going somewhere with friends or family and said, okay, I'll see you at 6 o'clock. And it's, you know, 5:55 and you know you're going to be 10 minutes late because there's all this traffic and you're trying to text and let people know where you're at, trying to message them, and you have location sharing in Teams too. So when you're working with somebody or you're planning something or you have a shared calendar and you're doing something with another person within Teams, you can then show them where you're at. So you can let them know, hey, I'm on my way, I'm going to be delayed, here's where I am. They can see exactly where you are. Or if you have friends, then you can meet up with them. So some really cool things coming with Teams for Life. When you're part of that preview, you know, we really value this early feedback. So yes, we've done a lot of work, but it's still early. We haven't released this, you know, it's not generally available. It's not on desktop yet, just mobile. You have an opportunity here to really get in and give us your feedback. So do it, join the preview. I'll give you the link after this. The other thing that we wanted to do, talking about all the different features that we've done, is we wanted Teams to be accessible to everybody. You know, Microsoft has always said, you know, we want everybody to have a laptop. We want everybody to have a personal computer, right? Now we want Teams accessible for everyone. And we came up with Teams Free, and that was really cool. But then the pandemic hit, and we really noticed that we needed to get Teams in everybody's hands, and we needed it fast. And it wasn't enough just to be able to chat, message, attend a meeting. We needed people to be able to do real work with free Teams too. A lot of smaller organizations, small businesses, nonprofits, individuals didn't have licensing necessarily and needed to be able to do some of the things that we need to do in Teams. So we added scheduled meetings, which is very cool. So now with Teams Free, you can have scheduled meetings. You can also meet now and do instant meetings if you wanted to set something up quickly with somebody. You also have the privacy settings that are so important. So if you want to set up the lobby, that's a default. You can turn it off for any meeting that you want to, but it is a default. So you can have only people in your organization or only you set up to join the meeting prior to the lobby being open. So some privacy settings there as well, which is very important to Teams. Live captions, another inclusive feature to make sure that people who are hard of hearing, you know, are able to see live captions and participate in meetings as well. It's very, very important, and that's available for all meetings now as well. And then, of course, meetings on iOS and Android, being able to have that mobile meeting experience. And there's much, much more to come with free Teams. We're definitely focused on free Teams, and like I said, want people to be able to attend meetings and create meetings and have the ability to do that, whether they're on the free version or be able to have a license with Teams. So now that I've shared the most recent things that we've really been focused on, let's go back to the basics. I have my kind of favorite things that I use in Teams, and I always love to share just a couple of personal things that I love, because I think anytime anybody tells me what they love about Teams, half the time I didn't even know you could do that, or I didn't even think to do that or use it in that way. And so I always like to share a couple of things that I like in hopes that maybe it will help you too, or get you thinking about things a little bit different. I also want to tell you these things because you know, I used to do a lot of user adoption programs for customers with Skype for Business and with Lync and, you know, that old stuff. And so now here we're working with Microsoft Teams, but the strategy is the same. It is so important to people who are rolling Teams out that we have successful user adoption by not only sharing what the product is and all the cool stuff it can do, like I just did, but let's show them how they can use it. How does Teams impact their life and what can they get out of it? And that's really what's important. So once somebody understands how Teams will affect them and how they do a task right now and how much better it will be when they use Teams, that's when they really see the value of Teams and you see the adoption of Teams. So couple things. One, I love the ability to prioritize my work. I know it's a little thing. It is a little thing being able to prioritize my work. But as many of you have probably experienced, there is so much going on in Teams, right? We've got chats, we've got a calendar with all of our meetings on it, we've got discussions going on in how many teams. I don't even want to tell you how many teams I have. And then within those teams, how many channels are in those teams. And it's a lot. It is just a lot. And you hear a lot about the noise, right? Hey, I'm the first one to admit there's a lot of noise, but I will tell you, there's a lot of noise in the other apps that I use too. There's a lot of noise in my email. In fact, I don't even know. I think I'm going to have to get rid of my personal email and just start from scratch, right? We get so much. And so it's really important that we're able to filter. I'm not able to focus very well. And so for me, it is very good if I start my day out knowing exactly what deliverables I have, not only with the work that I have to do. That's another presentation for the to-do team to talk to you about. But I really like the filter option here where I can go to my activity feed. I can click on that. I can go down to my app mentions, and all of the people that have app mentioned me are listed there. I can also go for the unread. I can filter by replied, who replied to a conversation that I was a part of. So that helps me kind of understand. It's like going to your email inbox and figuring out who do I really owe a response to, as opposed to what is an FYI, what is junk mail, what got sent to the wrong email, right? All of those things that we have to deal with. Here in the feed, it just is a really easy way for me personally to organize my work. So first thing in the morning, I go to my chats, first of all, and I look at those and I reply back to the ones that I can't and the ones that I can. And if I'm not ready to respond or need to wait, I keep them marked as unread so that I can go back. And then the next thing I do, I go to my feeds. Who mentioned me? Who needs something from me? Who specifically wrote out my name in a conversation that's public, by the way, for everybody to see, right? That needs something from me. And how do I address that? How do I help them? Because, you know, a best practice is always @mention people, because we do get so much. It's like sending somebody an email and putting them on CC. You're telling them that, hey, this is just, you know, FYI. Right? It's just for, I wanted you to know about this. I wanted you to see it. I wanted you to be aware. If somebody sends it to the to line and addresses us personally, then we know it's specifically for us. So don't make the assumption that people are going to see your messages in Microsoft Teams, because there's a lot going on. So if you need a specific person to respond to you, use that @mention. The next thing is the mobile client, and I know it is basic. It is just the mobile client, right? Everybody's got a mobile client, but hey, I have the ability to turn on my quiet hours. I can turn off my quiet hours when I need to work or when I want to be away from my desk, but still get messages and be able to respond to people, because that is important too, right? If I go to the store in the middle of the day, if I have to take my kids on an errand, if I need to take the dog out, there are all kinds of opportunities for me to continue to look at my mobile client and get some work done when I'm doing other things, and that allows me to have that work-life balance. I don't feel bad going for a walk if I know that, oh, I have my phone with me, and if there's anything urgent, they don't have to call me or text me. I have Teams. I can monitor. It's just like I'm at my desk. I can even attend a Teams meeting and go for a walk. And hey, right now, a lot of us need to get out and go for a walk, or at least step away from our desk and use an exercise machine, or go in our backyard, or take a walk around the block. And being able to listen to an all hands meeting, or a meeting that you don't have to actively participate in, that is a great time right now to be able to use your mobile client, put some headphones in, and just go for a walk and get away from your desk and be able to unplug from just looking at a monitor and being in the same four walls all day. So use that mobile client. The other thing I love is that you can edit files. And so you can actually go into your files tab, or you can click on a file that somebody has sent you. You can edit it, you can present. So if you're ever traveling again and you need to be in an airport, but somebody's asked you to present a spreadsheet, hey, what are the numbers for this quarter? You can do that. You can do that from your phone. You don't even have to get out your device. You can just do it from your cell phone. So very simple. I love the mobile client. It works very, very well. I definitely urge you to use it. All right, channel conversations. This is my last thing that I'm going to talk about that I love. And channel conversations is an interesting one because it's so obvious, right? I mean, that is what Teams is as far as collaboration and messaging. I mean, we have channel conversations. That's how we talk to one another besides chat, right? But let me tell you why it means a lot to me. I work from home all the time. So a lot of people are working from home for the first time, and you're experiencing probably that it's different. You don't get to see people in the hallways. You don't have to walk by a meeting room and see people, right? A lot of times, oh, I'm supposed to be in that meeting, or oh, I wonder what they're talking about, or oh, how was your weekend, or what are you working on? You're able to do that when you're in an office, and I think all of us are experiencing that you don't get to do that when you're at home or when you're not in an office with a lot of people. And so for me as a remote worker, and always have been remote since I've been on the Teams team, it has been really, really great for me to have these channel conversations, because I feel like I am having those water cooler conversations. I'm hearing things, I'm seeing things, I'm getting context for the different things that I might not need to know about, but are really useful for me to know about. I mean, I don't know how I would survive if I didn't know to go to different channels to find out different information, because I'm not necessarily going to be on a distribution list. And if I was, I would have to be on 100 of them to get the different bits of information that I get here in the channel conversations. But sometimes, if I need to know who's working on a particular feature, because I want to ask them what the status of it is, or I want to give feedback. I have, our MVPs are complaining about something, and we need to get somebody to talk to them because it's very useful information. Somebody's posting in the Microsoft Tech community about an issue. I've heard it before. Now somebody in the tech community is saying, let's get these people together and have them talk to somebody. But who is that somebody? I don't know. There are a lot of features in Microsoft Teams. Let me just tell you, you'd be surprised at the small, minute things that people work on, and finding out who all of those hundreds of PMs are that work on those features is very difficult. So for me, it's very important to have these channel conversations where I can pop into a channel and say, oh, that's who works on that feature. Or if I can't find the person, if it's not obvious to me, then I can start a conversation and say, hey, meetings team, real quick question, who's the person working on X feature? And then immediately somebody answers my question. So channel conversations is really scary for people at first because it's an open environment. You're basically, you have no walls in your office and everybody's there. You're inviting everybody in, right? It's no longer just an email one-on-one exchange or a closed door meeting. Now we're out there, and that's scary to have all of your work out there and people looking at all these conversations that you're having. And maybe that's uncomfortable to know that, to have somebody know that you haven't completed something or you're not as far along with something. I will tell you that, you know, the downside of that, or the scary part of that, now I don't feel that there is a downside of that, but I know I'm biased. But I really feel that the good that comes out of that and the learning that we have and the visibility that we have far outweighs any other struggles. So anyway, just my plug for channel conversations. Mention people, use the search if you're looking for something, and definitely make sure that your channels are descriptive so people can look for the information that they need from the right people. All right, we're running out of time, so I'm going to zip through these next couple of slides. Microsoft Teams, like I said, is very, very sees the importance in community, right? We definitely want your input. We definitely want to connect with you. We want to know what people are saying. We want to loop people in to talk to our engineering team. We want to be able to take those stories that you're telling us, good, bad, ugly, all of it, and be able to build a product that meets your needs. If you love something, let's do more of it. If you don't like something, let's scrap it and do something else. Let's make your work work. And there's a few ways that we do that. One, the tech community. We're listening to people in there. The Microsoft tech community, and the link is there. We have, I think, 160,000 people subscribed to the Teams community. There are so many wonderful people in there taking time out of their day to answer your questions. If you are deploying Teams, if you are using Teams and you have a simple how-to question and you can't find it, there's also a lot of documentation, so you can search first before you go. I bet the question has been asked in the tech community. You can search in the tech community, probably find your answer. If you can't, ask it. We've got people in there. We have added staff to our team because we have seen such a huge increase in questions in the tech community. 6 times the questions are taking place in there. So really cool stuff happening in there. I urge you to join, create your profile. The other thing is we've created this community tenant, which is something I'm very excited about. User groups and community events like this today. We are allowing user groups and community events to be part of this tenant and actually have licenses and be able to do their events and plan their events on this community tenant. So if that's something that you're interested in, if you have your own user group, doesn't have to be a Microsoft Teams user group, it can be on any Microsoft product or service, and you're a not-for-profit organization doing those events or those user groups, use our community tenant. We'd love to have you. So if you've got a wait list right now, we're kicking that off in July. The other thing is our community blog. I'm so excited. We kicked this off yesterday, so this is really good timing that I can share this with you. In the tech community, we have a Microsoft Teams blog, but I was just thinking, you know, this is really great and everything, and I hope that all of you enjoy the content and find value in the content that our team is sharing. But there's something to be said for community connection and the community sharing with community. And we see it in the discussion boards. And so many times I see those discussions and I think to myself, somebody should write a blog on that. That is a ton of great information. We don't have that documented. That's a great story. Somebody should write a blog on that. And I know people have their personal blogs, but you know, subscribing to so many different blogs is difficult too. So anyway, check out our community blog. And if you have your own cool story or you have something that you're passionate about related to Microsoft Teams, let us know. We would love to have you in there and highlight you. That is for anybody. Anybody who is passionate about Teams and has something to say, we'll definitely evaluate your content and get it up there. We're shooting for about 1 to 2 per week. So join us there. And then finally, my resources. And like I said, you'll have access to these slides. We get a lot of questions about when is such and such coming out? When can we see this? I will tell you the answer to that question right now. One, check the Teams roadmap. The link is there, aka.ms/Teams roadmap. That's going to tell you what is coming. If you have questions on when is something coming and it's not on the roadmap, next thing, check user voice. aka.ms/Teams feedback, the second link there. That's user voice. If you vote on an item, you will automatically get, unless you decline, but you will automatically get the notification when that status has changed. So Alex Olson, our fearless leader on the QCO team, she makes those edits and makes those updates. So definitely go into user voice, vote for what you want to vote in there, and we'll update you when we make changes to those. And then, of course, if you need support, a first line of support is answers.microsoft.com. You may have your own support within your own organization, but a lot of end users or people don't have that, aren't paying for Microsoft support. So answers.microsoft.com is awesome. They'll take your logs, they'll help you with issues and see those from start to finish. So that's a really great resource as well. And then up at the top there, the Teams Flipbook. The Flipbook is an amazing resource for people who are deploying Microsoft Teams. And I didn't have time to show it to you today, but it's really good for those of you who are deploying Teams for the first time or moving from Skype for Business to Teams, or even if you're in the middle of your deployment or had to do it fast and you want to keep that adoption going as people start going back to the office, start going back to work. That Flipbook is going to help you. It has lots of great guides and resources to help you do that. So hopefully those resources help you. Hopefully I've shared some things that got you thinking. I really want you to walk away with a couple of things. And I think Mark Cashman, he asked me in his team that he used for his demo earlier today, what do you want people to walk away with? And I was like, that's a really good question because I have a lot of stuff that I want you to walk away with. But first thing is remember that you're a hero. We work in IT, we do some hard stuff, and right now it's really hard. But you're all doing great things and you're enabling people to work, and that is important because we need that right now. We need things to keep going. And the other thing I want you to know is that we're listening. Microsoft Teams is listening to you. We hear you. We are not building this product in a vacuum. It's very, very important to us. We have a lot of people working behind the scenes listening to what you're saying. So even when it doesn't seem like it, and hopefully that's not the case, hopefully we're communicating enough, but we definitely are listening. So please keep the feedback coming. We need to hear from you. We need to know what works. We need to know what doesn't work. So definitely keep those user voice items coming. But most of all, I hope that you're enjoying your use of Microsoft Teams. I hope that you're sharing information with each other. And if there's anything that I can do at any time, please reach out to me. Like I said, I'm the community lead for Microsoft Teams, and that's my job. Stay with me, stay connected. There's my @Laurie Pottmeyer is my handle for Twitter, and I'd love to stay in touch that way as well. So that's it for today. Hey, have a really enjoyable rest of your event. We have 5 or 6 hours, so keep at it. Go take a walk, get some water. Are there any questions?
Yes, there are. Thank you very much, Laurie. That was really interesting insights and to see what's going on Teams development and the community. So there's a lot of questions here. So yeah, we have a few minutes time for the questions. So just maybe one area there was maybe I'm bundling together these two questions. There's a question about the safe feature or safe mode, so to speak. Is it utilizing OneDrive functionality or is it Teams implementation?
Oh, that's a really good question. Yeah, I see that as a safe, and I believe that's within the mobile client for Teams for Life. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know how they're doing that, but I'm going to find out for you and I will reply back. I don't know if they're using OneDrive to store that. I'm not sure the technical implementation, but I'll find out the question to that.
Great. And there's a continuing question about the encryption level and the security aspect of of the data saved in there?
Yeah, we'll get you all of that information. I think it may even be published on the link that I put in the notes there for Teams for Life. But if those details are not published yet, I'll find out for you and get those to you here. Good questions.
Yes, great, thank you. Then a comment about the offline capabilities. What are your thoughts on that when traveling or roaming is needed?
Yeah, so I mean, for a long time we didn't have offline capabilities, right? Like you were in the airplane and your connection was lost and there went your work. That doesn't work like that anymore. So now you can use Teams with the offline capabilities, and then things will sync once you get back online, which is great.
Great. And then there's a comment. I think this is true Teams Classic. That comment is saying that I just educated 2 people in my organization today about replying instead of starting a new thread.
Yeah. I know, I hear it is so frustrating and people get so annoyed. And trust me, the people that are doing it are just as frustrated as you are seeing it, because it's like, but it's not obvious to a new user. And even some of us who are, we've been using Teams for 3-4 years, occasionally we'll do that. And it's always such a bummer. So yeah, we definitely hear you. We'll be changing that very, very soon.
Yes, and there's also a question about an organization where they still have people who are using Slack. How can we promote Teams even more? What would be your word of advice?
Yeah, well, we don't have a Slack Teams comparison, right? Slack does its thing, Teams does its thing. I think the important thing to do there is really understand what your users do today in Slack, and then how do we do that in Teams to be able to train them? But what are those benefits? What else does Teams do? What else does Teams do that Slack doesn't do for them today? So looking at their entire workflow, right? What are they doing day to day? Maybe they use 4 different tools to do 4 different things, and Slack is a piece of it. They may be using Slack for their messaging or their meetings, but what are they doing for some of the other things they are having to do day to day? And one of the things that I didn't touch on too much, but is very, very important and a huge part of Teams is using it as a platform and be able to use apps and bots, just line of business apps that so many people have built and included in Teams to make it truly a platform. It becomes your tool that you live in every day. You don't have to leave Teams and go out and do something else, whether that's approving a purchase order or submitting your expense report, your hours, using the shifts capability. So for first line workers, if you're in a hospital, or if you're in a retail establishment, you're working where you have shifts and you might need to trade with somebody, those are the things that you can do on a mobile device. So that's a little outside the box, but if you're sitting in an office every day, looking at those workflows and what do they do today? So I think it's about not just telling them how amazing Teams is, it's understanding their work and understanding their business, and then relaying that and putting that scenario in Teams. Okay, here's the 5 things that you do on a day-to-day basis, right? A subset. Here's how you do those same 5 things in Teams, even faster, even better. So that would be my recommendation, is think about the user, not the tool as much, but the user.
Yes, that's a good advice. So unfortunately, we are now running out of time. There's plenty of questions coming in, but we'll have a look at those after this session with Laurie and get you the answers. But at this point, we are going to have to wrap up this one. I still want to remind you all about the solutions track and the experience track that are starting right after this keynote. We are going to we'll send the send also the links in this live event chat to join directly. So I really hope to see you all in there. And thank you very much, Laurie, for your time. This was a great pleasure to have you at Valo Fest.
Great. Thank you so much. And everybody enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll answer your questions offline. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.